Hello, friends. Welcome to the Mobile Monger Podcast, where we go behind the scenes in the cheese world to chat with the people making, selling, or distributing your favorite specialty food products. I'm your host, Janae Muha, certified cheese professional, longtime cheesemonger, and producer advocate. I sat down to edit the next episode, and the impossibility of that venture right now seems too big. Our industry is reeling from the untimely death of Anne Saxelby, shop owner, mother, podcast host, and fierce advocate for American artisan cheese. Anne's life revolved around the artistry of cheese, and we are all better for it. While I can't claim to have been fortunate enough to call her a friend, her presence in my life is undeniable and changed the course of my career. I started working in cheese in 2002 behind the counter of the Lakeview Whole Foods in Chicago. It was really just a means to an end because my goal was to move back home to Oregon, and the first Portland store had recently opened. After a brief stint in seafood, I was able to make my way back to the world of cheese. I remember reading about the opening of Saxelby Cheesemongers in Culture magazine and thinking how cool it was that the first American artisan shop had opened in New York City, but that was a world away from me in Portland. Hearing Anne's voice when she started cutting the curd in 2009, though, changed my life forever. By that point, I had realized what a cool job I had. And it was an exciting time in the world of cheese. But also, it was lacking in a lot of education. The Cheese Primer was one of the very few cheese reference books we had, and it was already incredibly outdated. Anne's podcast gave me a direct line to the cheese community at large that I didn't have before. I started learning more about the process and hearing the cheesemakers tell their own stories. I took notes of cheeses I wanted to try on my next travels, and her State of Cheese series seriously opened my mind to the people across the country working on making delicious and well-made cheese. I was finally able to go to the shop in 2012 when it was still just a small stall in the Essex market. It was my first time being in New York City, and I didn't go to Central Park or the Statue of Liberty. I went to Saxelby's. I'm not usually the type to get starstruck, and I can pretty much talk to anyone. But Anne was someone I revered so strongly that I physically could not talk to her. She was always incredibly welcoming, but her voice was the literal voice behind what was my main connection to the larger cheese world for so many years. Her voice gave me permission to deep dive into my passion behind American artisan cheese and to know that it wasn't fruitless. Her inquisitive nature made me feel comfortable knowing that I didn't need to know everything. I just had to be willing to ask. She readily shared her connections with all of us and encouraged the collaborative spirit within our industry. So I really just want to take this moment to say thank you, Anne, for your unflinching passion, your genuine ability to warm any room, and for the ways that you've helped create the foundation for what is the American artisan cheese movement. Your presence will be sorely missed.